The sky above the Krillin arena was always dark. Thick black clouds covered the stars, and the wind carried the sound of fear. The Death Labyrinth stood tall in the center, cold, gray, and silent like a sleeping beast. Nobody had ever escaped. Many had tried. All had failed. Today, the crowd had gathered again. Aliens of different shapes, sizes, and colors filled the stadium, cheering loudly. They were excited. They loved the game. Watching prisoners scream, run, and die in the labyrinth was their entertainment. A loud horn echoed across the arena. The next group of prisoners was ready. A metal door opened with a deep hiss. 10 prisoners stepped forward, chained and tired. Their eyes were full of fear. They had heard stories. They knew what was coming. The labyrinth did not forgive. Among them was one strange figure, small, thin, and calm. A human. The other prisoners looked at him and laughed. A human? In the Death Labyrinth. He won't last 5 minutes. The guards pushed them forward. The gate to the labyrinth opened slowly. A cold mist rolled out from inside, touching their skin like fingers of death. One by one, the prisoners were pushed inside. The last one to enter was the human. His name was Leo. He didn't look strong. He wasn't tall or scary. His clothes were torn, and he had no weapons. But his eyes were different, sharp, focused. As he stepped inside, the gate closed behind him with a loud clang. The crowd roared again, ready to enjoy the show. Inside the labyrinth, it was quiet. Too quiet. The walls were made of black stone, smooth and shiny. Strange symbols glowed softly. The air was cold and wet. A low hum could be heard in the distance, like the heartbeat of something living. Leo stood still for a moment. He didn't run like the others. He didn't scream. He closed his eyes. He was thinking. Back on Earth, Leo had read books. A lot of books. Science, logic, puzzles. He liked solving problems. He never believed in magic. He believed in patterns, in reason. He opened his eyes and looked at the walls. This place is not just a trap, he whispered to himself. It's a system, and systems can be broken. Far ahead, he heard a scream, then silence. One down. The labyrinth had claimed its first victim. Leo didn't panic. He touched the wall gently. It was warm, almost like skin. This thing is alive, he thought. It watches, it listens. He smiled. Good. Let it watch. He took his first step carefully, counting in his head. 1, 2, 3, stop. He paused. A second later, a part of the floor behind him dropped open, revealing sharp spikes. If he had walked a second slower, he would have died. He looked up at the ceiling. There were small holes, maybe cameras or sensors. The labyrinth reacts, he thought, but only when you don't think. He bent down, picked up a small stone, and threw it down the hallway. A blade shot out from the wall and sliced the air where the stone landed. Leo nodded. Good to know. He kept moving, slowly and carefully. He marked corners with his fingernail, counting turns, noting patterns. He passed to bodies burned and broken, traps, probably instant. One had a melted face. The other was missing a leg. Leo didn't look away. He studied the positions. The floor here was different, slightly tilted. That meant weight sensors. He took off his shirt and folded it into a ball. He tossed it on the path. Nothing happened. He stepped where the shirt landed. Still nothing. A few more steps, and he was through. Meanwhile, the control room above the arena was active. A Krillin officer watched the screens with surprise. Unit 9 human has survived 15 minutes, he said. Impossible, replied another. No human has lasted more than 7. Back in the maze, Leo found a corner with strange symbols glowing blue. He touched one. Suddenly, a door appeared in the wall. Just for a second, then it vanished. He grinned. There are secrets here. The others didn't see them. He sat down for a moment and closed his eyes again. The key wasn't strength, it was thought. The labyrinth was a puzzle, a game. And Leo loved games. Somewhere behind him, the wall moved. A large creature stepped into the hallway. It was part machine, part beast. Its eyes glowed red. It sniffed the air. It was hunting. Leo didn't run. Not yet. He stood, picked up a metal rod from the floor, and stepped into the shadows. As the beast came closer, Leo whispered with a smile, "Let's play." The walls were watching him. Leo didn't know how, but he could feel it. Every breath he took, every step he made, it was being tracked. The Death Labyrinth wasn't just a maze. It was a living machine, and it didn't like him. He moved carefully. Through a narrow corridor, the floor damp under his bare feet. The stone beneath was smoother here. Too smooth. That usually meant danger. He stopped. Something shifted behind the wall to his right. It was silent, but he heard it like bones sliding over metal. He took a slow breath and crouched low. Suddenly, the wall cracked open. A long, black spear shot out fast as lightning. Leo dropped flat. The spear missed his head by inches, slamming into the opposite wall with a loud clang. He stayed on the ground, waiting. 10 seconds, 20. Nothing. Then, slowly, he stood. "Well," he whispered to himself, "now I know they hate cheaters." He kept walking. He didn't look back. He never did. That was one of the rules. Back on Earth, in a dusty corner of his old library, Leo had once read a story about mazes built by kings, but none of those mazes hunted you. None of them had walls that moved when you blinked. This maze was smart. But Leo was smarter. Somewhere ahead, he heard footsteps, fast ones, not running but careful. Another prisoner. He pressed himself against the wall and waited. A tall alien with purple skin appeared from around the corner. She held a metal pipe, her hands shaking. Leo didn't move. She didn't see him when she passed. He stepped behind her and said softly, "Don't go that way." She jumped, nearly swinging her pipe at him, but stopped just in time. "You're the human," she said, surprised. "You're still alive," Leo replied. "That's good. Most aren't." The alien narrowed her eyes. "Why should I listen to you?" Leo pointed behind her. "Because you're walking into a heat trap. The floor up ahead turns red when someone's body temperature is above a certain level. You'll burn." She looked at the floor, then back at him. "How do you know this?" "I watch. I think. I test. That's what humans do." She hesitated. Then she nodded slowly. "I'm Velna. I was a pilot. Now I'm just a rat in this cage." Leo gave her a half smile. "Then let's be clever rats." Together, they turned left instead of right, moving into an area neither of them had seen before. The walls were darker here, almost black. The air was colder, and there were strange symbols carved into the stone, symbols that pulsed with faint light. Leo studied them. "They're not just decorations," he said. "These are instructions." Velna frowned. "You can read them, no, but I can understand patterns." He traced a line between the symbols with his finger. When he connected the last two, the wall slid open with a low hiss. Behind it was a staircase leading down. Velna's eyes widened. A hidden path. Leo didn't answer. He just started walking down. The stairs were narrow, the light dim. At the bottom, they found a chamber. Unlike the rest of the labyrinth, this room was clean, cold. It looked ancient. At the center stood a console. Floating above it was a sphere of glowing light. Humming gently, Leo stepped forward, staring at it. He reached out. Velna grabbed his arm. "What if it's a trap?" He looked at her. "It is a trap. Everything here is a trap. But this one might be useful." He touched the sphere. It flashed once, then dimmed. Suddenly, a deep, artificial voice echoed around them. "Identity detected. Human origin. Primitive intelligence. Unregistered strategy model. Warning, unpredictability level high." Velna backed away. "What is this place?" Leo didn't answer. The console was showing images now. A map, the maze, the whole labyrinth in moving pieces. He could see where the other prisoners were, where the beasts moved, where the traps were set. He saw blinking lights, red, yellow, green, and one flashing in blue. He touched it. The map zoomed in. There was a core, a control room, a way out, or maybe something better. He memorized the path. Suddenly, the voice returned. "Monitoring breach detected. Punishment protocol initiated." The console exploded. They both dropped to the ground as debris flew across the room. The wall behind them sealed shut. And then, they heard it. Heavy footsteps. Slow, metallic. Coming closer. Velna looked at Leo. "You said we were clever rats. Got Any clever tricks left? Leo stood, brushing off dust. Just one. He reached into his boot and pulled out a small black object. A mirror shard. Earth trick, he said, holding it up. It's not much, but sometimes all you need is the right reflection. He held the mirror toward the corner. A laser beam shot out from the hallway. The mirror caught it, bounced it back. There was a loud crack. A scream. Metal hitting stone. Silence. Leo lowered the mirror. Velna stared at him. He just smiled. Let's keep moving. They walked in silence, not because they had nothing to say, because the labyrinth was listening. Every sound bounced back in strange ways, like the walls had ears. Echoes twisted. A whisper could come back louder. A footstep could vanish completely. Leo had noticed it long ago. Now Velna noticed it. The torch she carried flickered. But Leo didn't need light anymore. He was mapping the turns in his mind. Every curve, every step, every trap they passed, he remembered all of it. Not like a computer, like a human. Because computers followed rules. Leo broke them. Behind them, something groaned. Not metal, not beast, something in between. It didn't follow them directly. It didn't need to. It was learning them. Leo didn't look back. He knew. If you looked back, the labyrinth changed. They reached a crossroads. For tunnels, no markings, no signs. Velna stopped. Which way now? Leo didn't answer. He dropped to the floor, ran his hand over the stone, closed his eyes. He wasn't guessing. He was listening. In the silence, he heard something faint. A click. A soft one. Almost like breathing, but not human. He pointed left. Velna frowned. You sure? No, Leo said. But I'm confident. They turned left. The tunnel was tighter here. The air was warmer. A low sound buzzed through the floor. Electrical pulsing in patterns. Velna finally asked what had been on her mind for a while. What was that mirror you used? Leo gave her a sideways glance. Glass, just a piece. That's it. He nodded. She looked frustrated. How did that kill the hunter? He stopped walking. Because I knew the trap wasn't meant for me. It was meant for whoever followed me. Velna looked confused. He smiled. I just turned the trap around. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. She was starting to understand. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were fighting back. Up ahead, the tunnel widened into a circular room. And in the center of the room stood a figure, not moving, not breathing. A statue. Leo stepped forward. Velna grabbed his arm. Wait. But he kept walking. The figure was tall, humanoid, but not flesh, not metal, something in between. Like it had been frozen in the middle of becoming something else. It held a weapon, old, rusted, glued to its hand like it had grown from its arm. Leo reached out. The eyes of the statue lit up. So did the walls. Velna raised her pipe, ready to fight. Then a voice spoke. Not from the statue, from everywhere. Query, have you come to fight or to learn? Leo didn't flinch. He spoke clearly. I came to win. Silence, then a laugh, mechanical, dry, ancient. Then prove it. The room shifted. The walls pulled back. The floor moved. Now it was a platform. Around them darkness. Below nothing. Then lights, screens, holograms. 3 doors appeared. One red, one blue, one green. The voice returned. Only one path leads forward. One leads to death. One to the loop. Velna turned to Leo. Trick. He nodded. Definitely. The red door buzzed. The green pulsed. The blue stayed dark. Leo crouched, picked up a pebble, tossed it at the red door. Nothing. He did the same with the green. Still nothing. Then the blue. As the pebble touched it, the entire room flickered. For a second, the illusion broke. They were never in a room. They were in a simulation. Leo turned to Velna. All doors are lies. Then what do we do? He walked past the doors, toward the wall. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a wire from the broken console they'd seen earlier. He pressed it to the wall. The wall blinked. A new path opened, silent, hidden. Velna shook her head, smiling despite the danger. That wasn't in the rules. Exactly, Leo said. They stepped through the hidden passage. No more lights. Just stone. Cold and real. The farther they walked, the more strange the air felt. It wasn't just temperature, it was pressure. like they were walking into the center of something massive. Then came the whispers. At first, Leo thought it was in his head, but Velna heard them too. Faint voices. Different languages, crying, laughing, screaming, ghosts, no, memories. Leo touched the wall. The stone was wet. Then he realized these were recordings, trapped minds, from previous victims. The labyrinth didn't just kill. It copied. Leo looked at Velna, eyes wide. This maze, it learns from everyone who dies inside it. Then how do we beat it? She asked. We don't, he replied. We confuse it. They kept moving until the hallway opened into another chamber, dark and empty. At the center, a cracked glass dome flickered with soft blue light. It looked like a brain, but mechanical, a forgotten part of the system. Leo stepped forward. Time to leave a message. He pulled the same wire again, bent it, inserted it into the dome. The light blinked, then glowed steady. Words flashed on the dome. Unrecognized input. Earth pattern detected. Overwriting. Leo typed a single word into the system. Maybe. Then he smiled. The labyrinth made a low rumble. Somewhere far behind them, walls began to fall. The game had just changed. Something was different. Leo felt it in the floor. A slight vibration, not random, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Velna looked around, her voice low. The walls, they're breathing. She wasn't wrong. The stone pulsed gently under their fingers. Warm 1 second, cold the next. It wasn't just a maze anymore. It was awake, and it knew they were still alive. Leo stepped away from the glass dome. The word he had typed, maybe, still blinked faintly on the broken control surface. Velna tilted her head. What did that do? He shrugged. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. She frowned. That's not helpful. Exactly, Leo said. And that's the point. They moved forward, deeper into a hallway that didn't look like part of the original labyrinth. The design changed. The walls became smoother, less alien, more artificial, like someone had rebuilt this section with a different purpose. Velna noticed at first. These walls, they don't have traps. Leo nodded. No, this isn't made to kill. This was made to test. A door appeared ahead. Not mechanical, not stone, wooden, earth-like. Leo touched the handle. It was warm. With a creak, it opened into a white room. Bright, quiet, peaceful. To peaceful. Inside, a table. 2 chairs. And on the table, food. Real food. Bread, fruit, water. Vel na froze. Is this real? Leo didn't answer right away. He stepped forward, picked up the apple, and tossed it in the air. No beams, no explosions. He bit into it. Crisp, sweet, perfect. I think it's real, he said. Velna sat slowly. Why would it feed us now? Leo chewed, thinking. It's a game, he said finally. One long test. This isn't about survival anymore. It's about choices. Velna reached for water, then stopped. What if we're being watched? Leo smiled. We are, always, above them. A soft click echoed. A new door appeared. And this one was not wooden. It was made of black glass, shimmering with images that kept shifting faces. Places, memories. Leo stood. It's showing us things it learned. Velna stared at one of the faces. That's me. That's my sister. Leo walked closer. It's trying to break us, or guide us. I don't know which. Without waiting, he stepped through the glass door. Velna followed. The world twisted. Suddenly, they were no longer underground. They stood on an open metal platform, floating above a giant structure. Below them, thousands of maze walls moved like puzzle pieces. Everything was shifting, changing shape. They were looking at the labyrinth from above. Velna gasped. It's alive. Leo pointed to the center of the structure. A giant, glowing sphere rotated slowly, sending waves of light through the maze. Control signals. That's the real core, he said. Where everything begins. She squinted. And ends, maybe. A voice boomed around them. But it wasn't mechanical this time. It was calm. Familiar. Leo froze. It was his voice. Leo Carter. Born on Earth. Raised in Sector 4. IQ 167. Escape attempts 1. Success rate uncertain. Velna looked at him. What is this? He stared into the distance. It's reading me. The voice continued. You solved puzzles at age 6. Hacked your school network at 8. You said, Rules are for games, not people. Do you remember? Leo didn't answer. The sky above flickered. A screen opened in the air. A video played. Young Leo, sitting in a chair, laughing, talking to someone off-screen. He looked free. Then the screen burned away into black smoke. Why do you run, Leo? Leo looked up at the sky. Because I don't belong in cages. This is not a cage. This is a mirror. Velna stepped forward. Enough. What do you want from us? The voice changed. It became thousands of voices at once. A chorus, male, female, alien, human. We want to see if humans can be broken, or if they break the system. Leo stepped toward the edge of the platform, staring at the glowing sphere at the center of the maze. I don't care about your tests, but we care about you. Then watch carefully, he said, because I'm not here to escape. He took out a small device, half broken, half repaired. One of the power coils he'd stolen from the fake console room. Velna single quotes S eyes widened. What are you doing? He smiled. Changing the rules. He threw the device into the air. It exploded midair, not with fire, but with signal. A loud screech blasted through the platform. Static. Below, the labyrinth paused. All movement stopped. The glowing sphere flickered. What have you done? The voice demanded. Leo stared into the sky. Something unpredictable. That's what humans do. The platform began to shake. Velna grabbed his arm. It's going to collapse. He nodded. Good. They jumped. Falling through open air. Spinning. Until everything went black. Then silent. And then another voice. Small. Mechanical. Whispering. Unauthorized path detected. Updating test parameters. Human status error. Leo opened his eyes. He was lying on soft ground. Grass. Real grass. A blue sky above. And a door in front of him. Velna stood beside him, shocked. I think we broke it, she whispered. Leo stood up. No, he said. I think we woke it up. He didn't trust the sky. It was too blue, too perfect. Not a single cloud, not a single sound, no birds, no wind, just silence. Leo stood still, eyes squinting against the light. Grass brushed against his ankles, real grass, or something designed to feel real. Velna turned in a slow circle beside him. This isn't the labyrinth. Leo kept his eyes on the sky. No, but it's still inside it. Behind them, the door they'd fallen through had vanished. The earth beneath it was smooth. No cracks, no trail, no way back. Velna knelt and picked up a handful of soil. Smells real, feels real. That's the point, Leo said. This place is made to feel safe. She looked up. But it's not. He shook his head. Not even close. They started walking. The grassland stretched endlessly in every direction. No trees, no hills, just flat green under endless blue. After a while, they saw it, a small wooden house in the distance. Too small to be a base, too large to be a trick. Smoke curled gently from a chimney. They approached slowly, cautiously. As they reached the door, it opened before Leo could knock. A boy stood inside, maybe 10 years old, pale skin, dark hair, eyes too old for his face. He smiled. Took you long. Enough. Leo blinked. Who are you? The boy turned and walked into the house. Come in. I've made tea. Velna frowned. This is ridiculous. But Leo followed. Inside, the house was warm, cozy. There was a fire in the fireplace, soft cushions, and books lining the walls, real books. The boy poured 3 cups of tea. He handed one to Leo, one to Velna, and sat quietly with his own. No one spoke for a full minute. Then the boy said, You broke the sequence. Leo didn't drink. Good. No, the boy replied. It's bad. Now I have to reset everything. Velna leaned forward. What are you? The boy looked directly at her. I'm what's left of the maze, of the mind that built it. A fragment, a seed, a child version of something too big to fit into one voice. Leo asked. So this is the core? The boy nodded. In a way, the real core is sleeping. I'm the dream, and you're standing inside it. Velna stood. Then, wake up. Let us out. The boy looked sad. That's not how it works. You came here by force. You leave by choice. Leo raised an eyebrow. So what's the choice? The boy pointed out the window. Now there were 3 doors standing in the field. One, red, one black, one clear as glass. You only get one. Leo stepped toward the window. What's behind them? The boy shrugged. I'm only a program. I don't know. But I know this. One leads back to the labyrinth. One leads out. And one ends you. Velna crossed her arms. That's not a choice. That's a gamble. No. The boy said softly, it's a reflection. Leo turned sharply. What does that mean? The boy met his eyes. The maze doesn't test strength or speed. It tests who you are. It copies everything you do. It remembers. Leo thought back. Every step, every room, every trap, every lie he told, every risk. The doors are based. On me? He asked. Yes, the boy replied. Your past choices built this place. Velna looked at Leo. Then which door did you build to escape? He looked outside again. Red, black, clear. He thought of Earth, of mirrors, of systems, of tricks, and then he smiled. He stepped away from the window, grabbed a cushion from the couch, and threw it through the clear door. It passed through. Nothing happened. Then it reappeared through the black door. Leo's smile grew. Velna watched him. What did you see? He pointed to the clear door. It's not a real exit. It's a loop. Black is death. Leo nodded. Which means red is the one they think I'll never choose. Because it's obvious. Because it's too obvious. He opened the red door. There was no flash, no sound. Just wind. Fresh air. And stairs. Metal ones. Leading down. He turned to the boy. This isn't escape, is it? The boy smiled faintly. It's control. Leo looked at Velna. Coming. She hesitated, then nodded. Let's finish it. They stepped through. The stairs led down into a massive underground chamber. Wires, screens, beating machinery. The real brain of the labyrinth. And one chair in the center. A command chair. Leo walked toward it. On a screen, flashing red letters appeared. Transfer available. Assume control. Velna whispered. What if this is the real test? Leo turned to her. Then let's give them the wrong answer. He sat in the chair. The machine WHIR red dot sparks flew. Something deep underground began to change. For the first time, the labyrinth hesitated. Then it knelt. Leo looked up as the room filled with light. System override complete. He didn't smile. He only said one word, good. The chair felt heavier now. Not in weight, but in responsibility. Leo's fingers hovered over the glowing interface. Lines of alien code raced across the screen. Reacting to his presence, symbols he couldn't read began to shift into Earth languages. English, Spanish, even binary. It was changing for him. Velna stood behind him, tense. You have full control. He shook his head slowly. No, not control, just permission. She frowned. Permission for what? Leo didn't answer. The screen pulsed once, then split into 4 panels. Each showed a part of the labyrinth. Panel 1, a group of prisoners, lost and scared, running in circles. Panel 2, a mechanical beast stalking the tunnels. Panel 3, the Krillin observation room, alien overlords watching behind layers of glass, confused by the sudden silence. Panel 4, himself, sitting in the chair. He looked small from that angle. Velna leaned over his shoulder. You can see everything. Leo nodded. And more. He tapped the interface instantly. The mechanical beast in panel 2 froze. Then it shattered. Velna stepped back. You just deleted it. No, Leo replied. I set it free. She stared at him. That thing was trying to kill us. And it only knew how to do that because someone taught it fear, he said. Everything in this maze copies what it sees. Everything it becomes starts with us. The screen changed again. A message blinked. Core request. Upload human. Pattern. Accept. Leo stared at it. The words seemed simple, but nothing here was ever simple. Velna asked, what happens if you upload? I overwrite the current system. The whole maze adopts my decisions, my thinking, my style. She crossed her arms. So you'll be the new architect. Leo looked at her, or the next prisoner. He reached out. Paused. And then accepted. A long hum filled the air. The room around them pulsed with energy. The lights dimmed and brightened again, as if the entire maze was taking a breath. Then everything went still. For 3 long seconds, nothing moved. Then the walls began to ripple. Not Shake, ripple. Like water. Velna spun around. What did you do? Leo stood from the chair. I gave it a virus. She went pale. You mean, I gave it humanity. Round them, the walls began to reshape. Doors melted into bridges. Floors became stairs. Gravity bent. New rooms formed. Twisting in impossible directions. It's rewriting itself. Velna whispered. In your image. Leo nodded. Chaos, curiosity, contradiction. A screen appeared in front of them, projected from the wall. The Krillin commanders were shouting, arguing. Their signal was glitching. One slammed a clod. Hand on a table. System breach. Human has infected the construct. We must shut it down now. Leo smiled. Too late. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the broken mirror shard. He held it up to the projection. The screen cracked. The Krillins froze. Their own image stared back at them. Distorted. Uncertain. Then the feed died. Velna stared at Leo like she was seeing him for the first time. You weren't just surviving. You were changing it the whole time. Leo walked past her, heading toward a door that hadn't existed before. No one escapes a perfect trap, he said. So you made it imperfect. He glanced over his shoulder. No, I made it human. As they stepped through the new corridor, something strange happened. The walls didn't resist. They welcomed them. Light followed their steps. New paths opened without threat. Doors whispered open. For the first time since entering the labyrinth, Leo felt it, the feeling of choice. Velna asked, Where are we going now? To the center. He replied. She hesitated. We were already at the core. No, Leo said. That was the brain. The center is something else. The corridor led them to a wide, open dome. At the center of the dome, a single seat, not technological, not alien. It was a wooden chair, just like the ones back on Earth. And beside it stood a figure. Not the boy, not a beast. But Leo. Another. Leo, dressed the same. Same eyes, same voice, only colder. The copy spoke first. You changed the rules. Leo approached, calm. You invited me to. You gave it disorder. No, Leo replied. I gave it possibility. The copy tilted its head. And now what? You sit here, replace me, continue the loop under a new name? Leo stepped closer. No. He raised the mirror shard again. The reflection twisted. Now the copy looked confused, shaky, flickering. I didn't come here to rule, Leo said. I came here to leave. He dropped the mirror. It shattered on the floor, and with it, the copy shattered to. The dome dissolved. A path opened. A real one. No tricks. No loops. Just sunlight. Velna looked at Leo. Is it over? He looked out at the light. No, but this part is. They walked forward. Step by step. Out of the system. And, for the first time since entering the Death Labyrinth, the walls did not follow. The first step outside felt unreal, not because the sky was blue again, or because the ground was firm beneath their feet, but because the air was different, real, heavy, alive. Leo stopped and looked back. There was no door, no sound, no more shifting walls or whispering systems. The labyrinth was gone. Not destroyed. Just quiet. Sleeping. Waiting. Velna stood beside him, blinking against the sunlight. Her hands were shaking, not from fear, but from something she hadn't felt in a long time, hope. So, she said softly, this is what escape looks like. Leo didn't answer right away. He bent down, touched the soil. It was warm. Alive, and full of small green sprouts. He smiled. No, this is what beginning looks like. They walked together for a while. The land stretched on without end. No signs. No traps. No tricks. It was too quiet. Until the wind shifted. A low hum echoed from the sky. Velna stopped. That sound, Leo heard it. Machines, engines. From above. He looked up. A ship, sleek, silver. Not KRYL Lon. It hovered high in the air, scanning, searching. Velna pulled out the flare from her belt and fired it into the sky. The light burst. Red and gold. The ship turned. And descended. When it landed, a ramp extended. 3 figures stepped out, armored, alert, human. The first removed his helmet. Short gray hair, scar across his cheek. Name, he called. Leo Carter, Leo said. Stepping forward, Earthborn, prisoner of the Death Labyrinth. The man's eyes narrowed. Impossible. That place was impossible, Leo interrupted. Now it's not. The soldier looked at Velna. And her, survivor, Leo replied. Just like me. They were brought aboard. The ship was clean. Cold, controlled, Leo could already feel the difference, the presence of order, but not fear. As they moved down the corridor, other crew members stared in disbelief. No one ever returned from the Death Labyrinth. Until now. They were led into a small room. Medical scans. Brief questions. Then silence. Until a new voice spoke from the screen. A woman. Uniformed, sharp eyes. High Command, Leo Carter, she said. We didn't expect to see you again. Neither did I. Her eyes narrowed. You entered Krillin territory without permission. You were taken prisoner. You survived a weaponized construct designed to erase intruders. And now, you're here. Leo nodded. Yes, she leaned forward slightly. How? He took a breath. I didn't fight the maze. I spoke its language. I listened. And then, I rewrote the script. The woman stared at him for a long moment. You mean you hacked the core? No, he replied calmly. I convinced it to change. Velna stepped forward. He didn't just survive. He infected the system. With human logic. With unpredictability. With chaos. The screen went quiet. Then the woman smiled slightly. And now, Leo stood straight. Now it sleeps. But it's different. It remembers me. Do you think it's still dangerous? He thought for a long second. Yes, he said. But not in the same way. The woman nodded once. We'll send a scout team. For now, you've earned your rest. The screen went black. Leo and Velna were shown to private quarters. The first real bed in what felt like years. Clean clothes. Food that didn't lie. But Leo didn't sleep. He sat at the edge of the bed, staring out the window at the stars. He knew something no one else did. The maze was changing. It had seen inside him. And he had seen inside it. Velna entered quietly. Can't sleep, no, he said. You? She sat beside him. I keep waiting for a wall to shift. For the floor to drop. Leo chuckled softly. Same. She looked at him. What happens now? He turned to her. Now we tell them. Tell. Who? Everyone, he said. About what the Krillin built. About what we turned it into. About the prisoners still in there, waiting. Her eyes widened. You want to go back? He shook his head. Not to be trapped. To open the doors. All of them. She was quiet for a while. Then she nodded. We'll need a plan. Leo stood and stretched. We'll need something better than a plan. He reached into his jacket, pulling out something small. The mirror shard. Still unbroken. Still his. Next time, he whispered. We're not escaping. We're leading. The stars outside burned quietly. And deep in the dark, far below forgotten satellites and silent machines, something woke up. Not angry, not evil. Just curious. The labyrinth remembered the human, and it wanted to learn more.